Hey, everybody, my name is Chris Collier, your host at Conquer with Chris, the podcast you don't want to miss. I have a great guest today. Today, we have the wonderful Jackie Hurd on. Jackie, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me, Chris. Appreciate it.
So, tell the people a little bit about who you are and where you're at.
Okay, thank you. Well, I like to call myself a California girl, now Southern belle. I was born and raised in the West Coast, Los Angeles, California. Spent some time in the military. I'm an Army veteran right out of high school. I joined the military, received my medical training actually through the military, and that led to a now 37-year career working in surgery. I moved to the Atlanta area in 2005, of course, looking for a little bit of change of cost of living break. And so now I've kind of set myself up here in the South and establishing myself, moving on into entrepreneurship.
Well, that's great. So how do you get started being involved in the medical side of things?
Well, it was funny how it was just an interest how going through the process in the military, you go through a phase where you have to choose what career specialty you want. My intentions was not to go in the medical field. I always wanted to go in law enforcement. But at that particular time, when it was time for me to choose, there wasn't an opening. Excuse me. There wasn't an opening in law enforcement. So they gave me about 20 minutes to look at some videos and some information, and I had to pick. And I just happened to see a video of what a surgical technician looks like, that profession. I said, oh, that looks interesting. So I picked it, and it led to a great career. I love it.
Wow. Surgical technician. And you only had 20 minutes to decide. Now, look at let's take that apart for a minute, because, one of the things is like, I know a lot of people, if you put them in 20 minutes, they can't decide anything. Like, they can't decide what meal they want to eat, let alone what career they want to pursue. I think it's
right.
A couple things to dissect here. One is that you weren't given an option. You had to choose something, right? Or they for you.
Yeah, you don't have a choice.
You'd be a lot worse, right? So, and then two is you did the best problem solving you could, and you came up with a pretty good solution. It seems like, from where I'm sitting, you've enjoyed your career, you made the best of it, and now you're transitioning into something else. But I want you to talk about that, about being so young and having to make that decision, because that people at my age, 50, they struggle making those kind of decisions now. So speak to that for just a couple seconds.
Yeah, well, for me, because it was the military, I had made the decision to join when I was age 12. So I bought into the concept of serving, being a part of something bigger than yourself. So in reality, looking back on it, probably wouldn't have mattered too much of what job I picked, because I bought into the vision of what that represented. And so it was just lucky. I do like helping people, and it just it was a good fit in something different. I said, okay, well, great. Because I was going to show up and perform the best I could either way it went.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So let's hear about some of the places you got to work while you were in the military.
Well, luckily, I got to stay in the United States. I didn't get to travel overseas, and I realized, wow, I should have taken advantage of that when I could. But my first duty station was in Colorado. Now, growing up in Los Angeles, the first thing I noticed, I have never really seen the mountains before and a beautiful blue sky. So when I landed in Colorado in January of 1986, in the middle of a snowstorm, and I had to sit there and wait on the military people to come pick me up. And I was 18 years old. So, maybe a little scary, but I was ready for the adventure. My time in Colorado, I loved it. I had always debated, did I want to go back to stay there and raise my family? But I didn't. So Colorado, I went to my last duty station was El Paso, Texas. Now, what makes that place so interesting is that was the beginning of the Gulf War. So I got to really see a different side of what the military is about. I had gotten pregnant. I was married, of course. My first daughter was born at the Army Hospital in El Paso, Texas. And I said, wow. So my experiences have really shown me And kind of like I said, it led to help me become the person that I am today.
So yeah. What character traits you think that you got when you're in the military prepared you for what you're entering into now?
I think, of course, leadership is number one, and always being able to adapt to change. But that's the one thing when I look at the Army moved me every 2 years. So I was prepared to always go somewhere. And I think once I got out of the military and I realized that, okay, whatever I'm doing, this is it. 10 years, 20 years into a profession, I started having some challenges, like how to stay on a job for more than 7 years. I struggled. So that, but it is coming back full circle. It's helping me now make an adjustment. I'm in my pre-retirement years. I'll say that I'm just a little bit over senior citizen status, and I'm having to adjust to what that looks like. And, I'm having a lot more control over it. So I'm appreciating that. And I'm going to make it fun. That's for sure.
Yeah. So if you're talking to someone out there, one of the listeners, how would you tell them this phase of your life? And maybe they're going through a phase where they're getting ready to enter into entrepreneurship. What would you tell them is important, you think, for them to start that entrepreneurship phase?
I think one of the biggest things is to recognizing that, asking yourself, what do you want? The previous life, for example, when I had children, I was married, I had children, I had to show up as a wife, as a mom. And a lot of times as females, we put ourselves on the back burner. But as you go through phases, my children are adults. They don't need me the same. So I had to kind of redefine what am I? Who am I? How do I want to show up in the world? And that's kind of it. So entrepreneurship honestly pulls me. It allows me to redefine who I want to be. I'm not any particular title from a company. I'm not a vice president. You really get to be who you want to be and call yourself, give yourself your own title. So that is very rewarding.
Yeah. That's so true. So true. So you got out of the military, you started having a family. So let's talk about this phase of your life, right?
Okay.
Go ahead. It's your story. I'll let you tell.
Well, I loved it. I always wanted to, I call myself, going back, I was going to be a soccer mom. I mean, I bought all into it. I wanted the minivan. I wanted the station wagon. I bought all into that. No, I didn't stay. Unfortunately, I got divorced very young. So I was only married for 8 years. And so then I became a single mom. But at the same time, I realized, okay, my foundation is military. You're a soldier. You can get through anything. So it wasn't easy, but I got through it. And I just learned how I realized I had to try to teach that to my daughters, how to be strong, because you never know what life's going to throw at you. So that's where my hardest and most darkest time for me, I was able to, on the outside, be strong for other people. Don't you consider Atlanta? I said, okay, sure, no problem. My ex-husband's from Savannah. I said, that's perfect, because I'm a big family person anyway. So that's kind of how we just kept skipping. And I finally landed in Atlanta, where a lot of people were moving there, and it was a good fit. I love the smaller, not hometown feel, but it's a big difference from LA, that's for sure. So I like it
so much anymore, but
it has grown a lot, right? Yeah.
And they don't stop. It seems like 24 hours a day they're building something.
Exactly.
So you said you got here, and I guess they had their senior year here.
Oh yeah, they finished school here, elementary all the way through high school. So they go to college here. Now they're working. Interesting, being here in the South. How do we put it? I just say they gain an appreciation for education. So my youngest daughter is studying to be a teacher. And that was something that, we had never talked about before. So I think it's worked out a lot. They do like the lifestyle here.
Good. And so you start going into transitioning again, right? The 2-year bug hit you, right? You decided, I want to do something different. So
yeah.
Let's explain to the folks who are watching or listening how you transitioned into what you're doing now and what it is you do now.
Well, number one is networking, and I didn't really know anybody here in Atlanta, and I realized that was the main thing because I was honestly the intention was to continue working, looking for jobs through hospitals and things like that. So I was always networking, trying to find connections, and it was just kind of like by accident I ran into people who are more into business, and then I can see like Atlanta is a huge place, a birthing place for entrepreneurs, and then I was like, wow. These people are really, they're positive. They're really, always just fun to be around. And it just kind of just pulled me in that direction. I got to see, I learn a lot more about myself, different skills that I never really got to tap into work in the medical field. Medical field, you just pretty much follow the straight line. And, that's the way it works. We understand healthcare is just black and white. It's not a lot of gray area. But I did like the flexibility, the possibilities, everything is unlimited in entrepreneurship. And one thing I forgot to tell you, while I was married, my husband was pursuing that. So I got the taste of it, but it just didn't work out between us. So, but I use that now as telling my story. The employee to entrepreneur, tongue-tied, the entrepreneur journey, because I lived it, and I'm definitely looking to help people kind of make that transition. So that's kind of the market I decided to serve.
Gotcha. And how would you say, what's the difference? This is a good question, because if you read Robert Kiyosaki's book, The Four Quadrants, you understand there's a difference between entrepreneur mindset and employee mindset. So what's the major differences? You probably do it better than I could. How would you say, what's the major difference up here?
I think the major difference is just understanding, and I'm glad you said that, because I did read that book, but it took me over 10 years to kind of put it together in my head. The thing is that the way I tell people now is that the four quadrants is just a business model. How money is made in each quadrant is just different. So if you're an employee, companies need you to do a specific task to serve in order to bring money into the company. Because I honestly had a negative reaction myself, like hearing the employee mindset. It wasn't as positive as I thought it could have been. I kind of felt like I was being insulted in a sense, because, just the way people speak about it. But there's rewards there, and I had to teach myself to be proud of what I do. And then on the other side, as an entrepreneur, I just have to turn that brain off for a second and realize that, okay, I'm over here. I have to create my ideas, bring everything together. So I like to talk about it in the sense of balance, because we cannot always just quit our jobs. I witnessed so many people just quitting their jobs. And it's like, wow, you have a family, you have a mortgage. Okay, what are you going to do now? And I witnessed it. So they come running back. A lot of them came running back, begging for that job. It's just a matter of how the money flows per hour. That's it. The other side, you can create your own, your own income stream. So I like it.
Well, I remember back in, I can't remember what it was, but I was at a major event, and one of the big leaders got on stage, and he said this. He said, "You couldn't pay me to build the stage. There's nothing wrong with stage building, or construction, or any of the workers who work here, but you couldn't get me to do it because I'm an entrepreneur. I create things. So I'm willingly and gladly willing to pay someone to go across the country and build stages for me." And I thought about it, because like a lot of the people during that time were like, jobs stink, they're horrible, just so we're broke, juggling all our bills. But that's good if you're an entrepreneur. But the flip side is, when you start to grow as an entrepreneur, you still need to hire people. You realize you're providing jobs for people and opportunities for people. And it can't be jobs are stinky. No, you just don't, it doesn't fit you anymore, because you're now a provider for more than just yourself, right?
Right.
So I think there's a place for jobs. And as an entrepreneur, you do have to have the mindset of jobs can only pay you so much, because you get stuck into that mindset of trading dollars for hours. you'll always do it because it's easy to do that, right? Then, like you said, when you're in the medical field, it's straight black and white. You go and do your thing, and you go home. When you're entrepreneur, you're in charge of everything.
Everything.
If there's no income coming in, there's no money for you to get paid. So you got to create the vision, you got to create the mission, you got to create the project. It's got to bring some kind of income in or viewership or whatever the case may be. So I'm with you. I think sometimes people have a negative connotation and they want to just blow up people who have jobs.
Yeah.
But we all had jobs. Most people had jobs, unless you start out from a family that said, no, go pursue this first. So I think that's amazing. So what are you doing now? I heard you say you're trying to help people who's starting to be entrepreneurs.
Right, because I struggle with it. And the thing about going to my past, it did become an issue in my marriage. And then, so that I realized that probably maybe 8 years ago, I started thinking back, wow, what if I could have understood my husband better? We could have been an awesome team. So as I started to speak out and tell a little bit about what happened to me, other people started saying, oh, yeah, me too. Or I wish my husband would support me. And I said, well, wait a minute. Why is this all confusion going on in the household? Everybody, we all want to bring money into the house, but it just happens to come two different ways. So what I do now is my speaking platform, Jackie Heard Speaks, is because I'm telling the real story. I still do work a full-time job. And just like you said, it's just a matter of the 7 to 3, I have a different mindset. Then once I clock out, it's a stretch. It's a huge stretch. And so, but it can be done because this is what I want to do. I teach people that, again, it's also specific to the job. I'm in healthcare, so I'm always helping people. So naturally, I just gravitated to other areas where I can help and coach. So that's how I developed my coaching business, JT Empowered Solutions Coaching. And it's a mindset. So I just kind of walk them through, give them a lot of practice tips. I have a little quiz, take your entrepreneur mind to work. Check yourself. How are you behaving on your job? Because to be honest with you, my job has helped me become a better entrepreneur. I know how to look for the cracks in the process. So I take what my job gives me and I take it to my business. And, it's all fair. Everybody gets what they need out of me.
That's good. I want to talk about mindset a minute. In your opinion, Jackie, and I'm setting you up here, so be careful how you answer this.
Okay.
What's more important, mindset or motivation?
Oh, that's a good one. I think I would, I'd have to give the edge to, wow, it's hard to explain, but to have the motivation to change, the motivation to recognize that there are differences in the mindset, and then that'll lead to your actions. Okay. So that is a tricky one. And I'm hoping I can make that clear.
For me, I would say mindset is always the foundation. Motivation comes and goes. Like there are some days I just don't want to do anything. I don't want to be an entrepreneur. I don't want to be a worker. But if you have the mindset, hey, listen, this got to get done. I don't have the motivation, but I'm going to find a way to get it done, even though I'm not motivated. So I think my opinion, I'm not saying I'm 100% right, but I can understand where you got to be motivated to do things, but it's kind of like I've been married a while now, and sometimes I don't feel love. You know what I'm saying? But you're not in love. That whole the giggly thing. But you're married. You got to make that thing work out. You can't. Well, I'm not married today. We'll go back to being married tomorrow. Well, what happens if the next day she's not feeling married? Want to feel like she's married. So you got 2 days not married, so you're divorced for 2 days and go back. No, just work it out. I mean, that's how we do. It's like sometimes you don't feel like today's not a good day for me. Okay, that's fine. I'm here to help. If you, that same thing with your business, right? You build your business to a place as an entrepreneur. Today's not a good day. That's why you are an entrepreneur, so you can have a day where you go like, I've done my work. I've got. For me, I'm a content creator, as you can tell by this podcast. So I build my podcast up. So if there comes a day where I don't want to do that today or this week, I have podcasts in my bank that I can pull and put out and say, you know what, I don't have to do that. It's already been done. And if I ever get so tired I don't want to do anymore, I can always pivot, like you're talking about, right? So once again, is not overstated, but for me, I think mindset's very important because to me, motivation is a whim. It comes and goes. But
You're right. Yeah.
is what keeps you grounded. Like you said, you switch the employee mindset off when you get out of work and turn on your entrepreneur mindset. Okay, I see stuff and I take notes, but now it's time for me to put this in action in my own business so I don't have the cracks in the foundation they have over there. So,
yes, yeah, absolutely, absolutely, and that's what they said. Oh, it was a good one, though. Good question. It was very close. I agree with you. Yeah.
So Jackie, where can people find you?
On my social media, Jackie Hurt Speaks. I'm at on LinkedIn and Instagram, building up Instagram, and then my website, JackieHurtSpeaks.com.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's been my pleasure to have Jackie Hurt on the show. Jackie, thanks for being on.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Listen, please like, subscribe, share, depending on which platform you're on. And make sure if you're on the iTunes or Spotify, give us a review as well. Thank you so much. You guys have a great day.